Namaskar, this is Akhilesh Bhargav. Welcome to Tidbits on Business and Finance with me. Bitcoin, the world's first cryptocurrency, was created because its inventor did not like the fact that central banks worldwide have the exclusive power and privilege to create money out of thin air, and that too as much as they wish to and whenever they wish to. The crypto inventor wrote in a blog that the root problem with conventional and traditional currency is that it is issued without a limit, and thus, according to him, central banks cannot be allowed to debase a currency like this. He therefore created the Bitcoin as a universal currency, putting its maximum number to be ever issued at 21 million Bitcoins, thus restricting the number to be issued and retaining its value in the process. Satoshi Nakamoto is said to have invented and created the Bitcoin, the world's first cryptocurrency. The mystery and the irony is that it is not known who he, she, or they, which is Satoshi Nakamoto, are. Jacob Goldstein, the author, wrote in Money, the True Story of a Made-Up Thing, that Satoshi Nakamoto could be a cyberpunk living in an underground bunker in New Zealand, or he could be an executive at a bank at London. He said, she might be a priest, or maybe a criminal, or they may be a cabal claiming to take over the world. Interestingly, the mystery surrounding the Bitcoin continues, and so do the ironies and the contradictions around it. What are these ironies and contradictions that we are talking about? The first one, cryptocurrencies are widely traded and transacted by millions in India, and tens of thousands of crores of public money is at stake, and yet there is no law, no regulator, no supervisor or government policy for it. The public remains at risk, and yet the government procrastinates about a law to govern bitcoins, to govern cryptocurrencies, their trading, their investments, and the crypto exchanges that have sprung up. The next is that the traceability and footprints of crypto transactions are not clear, despite the huge public money which is invested in them. How do you then regulate and control it? There is thus no authentic data about the number of crypto traders and investors, their volume of transactions and the investment therein, and the very location of crypto holdings, where are they held abroad or in India, is not known. The next is that the fundamental irony is that what exactly is the classification of a cryptocurrency as an asset for its regulation and governance itself is not clear. Is a crypto a currency, or is it a security, or is it a commodity, or a current asset, or is it an investment? And if that itself is not clear, then how do you legislate and regulate crypto investments and trading and their exchanges? With no such clarity about what exactly is a crypto, it explains why though billions of dollars are invested in cryptos, yet India's tax laws, both direct and indirect, lack clarity about their very taxability. Further, with the seller, buyer and the crypto likely to be based anywhere in the world, the very jurisdiction of a crypto transaction always remains debatable. The next is that in India, FEMA governs any transaction involving an overseas asset with an overseas party, and yet crypto transactions have not been governed by FEMA, despite the fact that in a crypto trading, the buyer or the seller or both could be based abroad. The crypto may be stored abroad and payments may be made or received from overseas parties. Despite these fundamental traits, FEMA has not yet brought these transactions within its direct domain. The irony is that India's criminal agencies are yet to get cryptos into their grip, even though they have increasingly become the preferred mode of transactions for money laundering, for terror and crime funding. Cryptos are a huge security concern since criminals and terrorists have been receiving payments in cryptos, and yet India's security agencies have not got a handle on them. Further, if a crypto is defined to be a currency, then the Reserve Bank should govern it. And if it is called a security, then SEBI should do so. And yet, at the moment, both do not do so. Cryptos are a hotbed of crime, tax evasion, Benami transactions and black money. And yet, India has no national law, no national policy or agency in order to restrain and regulate them. Crypto ads are seen to sell greed, easy guaranteed returns, and they build a hype of get rich quick, which itself is misleading. It lacks transparency, and that puts investor at risk. And yet, these kind of ads have not been banned. If you put such an ad for any other financial asset or any other transaction, the government will come heavily on it. It will be deemed to be a crime. But we do not see that happening as far as cryptos are concerned. SEBI restrained digital gold, but it has not restrained cryptos. And while the Reserve Bank wants to ban them, the government does not seem to do so. Further, cryptos are traded at exchanges that transact public money, which needs investor protection, and yet SEBI does not regulate them. Cryptocurrency is not a legal tender as per the Reserve Bank of India, and yet payments are being done in them. Finally, despite all this uncertainty, crypto exchange companies and funds have been attracting huge investments. In August 2021, CoinDCX, a crypto exchange, received a funding of $90 million at a valuation of $1.1 billion. And earlier, CoinSwitch Kuber, another crypto exchange, had received an infusion of $260 million. That's the kind of big money that they have been attracting, despite the contradictions, the controversies, and the uncertainties surrounding them. Despite such controversies and uncertainties surrounding cryptocurrencies, they are yet a growing asset class with rising popularity. Bitcoin is not the only crypto. There are thousands of them worldwide with an aggregate market cap of almost $2 trillion. As of November 2021, there were 7,557 cryptocurrencies worldwide, having increased from 6,044 in July 21. And there are many more such currencies in the pipeline, hoping to be in the gold hunt. While the crypto industry claims that there are over 100 million crypto holders in India with an average investment of about rupees 8,000 per investor, the Reserve Bank of India says that such claims about the number of crypto holders are highly exaggerated, and it pegs the average investment per crypto holder to be just about rupees 1,000 as against the industry's claim of about 8,000. The crypto exchanges claim that there are 105 million crypto traders in India with an investment of 6 lakh crore rupees, which to us looks highly inflated when you compare it with the fact that there are just 25 million mutual fund investors in India and about 80 million trade and invest through the Bombay Stock Exchange platforms, which are among the biggest trading platforms in the country. The crypto segment in India today is dominated by individuals in the 25 to 35 years age group with limited disposable income, and yet their exposure to cryptos has been rising even though their own disposable incomes have not gone up. The ICC T20 World Cup saw crypto exchanges spend about 50 crore rupees on advertisements as they seek to lure in more and more with the fantasy of get rich quick and guaranteed returns. The government to us has delayed coming up with a law, regulation or policy in order to restrain and control this activity so far, which is a hotbed of money laundering, tax evasion and crime funding, and where an investor can potentially lose it all. The matter, however, occupies center stage now, and it makes it to the front page of newspapers almost every day. To us, it indicates that we should be seeing a crypto law being introduced in the forthcoming winter session of the Parliament, which begins on 29th of November. This week itself saw a lot of activity on the crypto front, and that to us indicates that a stringent law to control crypto trading and investments and to control all those crypto exchanges which have sprung up is certainly in the offing. And what are these events that took place on crypto this week? The first one, a meeting of the parliamentary panel of the Finance Ministry chaired by the Prime Minister himself to discuss the pros and cons of crypto favored a regulation and not a ban on it like China has done. The parliamentary panel discussed the possible risks from trading and investing in cryptos. Its consensus was to take progressive and forward-looking steps, but with a firm regulation in place. It expressed concern on the ads being issued by crypto exchanges and said that they need to be stringently regulated. The next one, The Reserve Bank governor cautioned this week again that cryptos are a concern from a macroeconomic and financial stability standpoint and perspective. He said that the Reserve Bank has serious concern about it and it prefers a ban on cryptos instead of a regulation. The RBI concerns about cryptos are that they are a threat to the rupee, that they are used for terror financing, crime and money laundering, that they are difficult to tax if they are not traced, that they are difficult to seize as a proceed of crime, and investors in cryptos, according to it, are vulnerable to hacking, scams, and loss on account of volatility. And thus the Reserve Bank says that they need to be banned. There's no need even for a regulation for it. The next was that in his recent address at the Sydney Dialogue, the Prime Minister called for countries to collaborate for regulating cryptocurrencies in order to prevent any harmful effect on the youth. He said that all democratic nations must get their act together to regulate cryptos and see that they do not fall in the wrong hands. The next was that the UBS Group chairman said this week that he is skeptical of cryptos. According to him, the idea of making payments from banks and cash to something that is an anonymous vehicle where both sides of the transaction, which is the seller and the buyer, are not known, will not survive according to him. Further, a fintech startup called DeFi raised $5.5 million this week for its social crypto exchange, where users are allowed to create their profiles and share their crypto portfolios with friends and followers so that they can emulate investment strategies of big traders and investors. To us, the larger picture that emerges from all this is on several fronts, and all of it points to stringent regulations on cryptos in the offing. The first point of the larger picture is that cryptos are here to stay. There will be no blanket ban on them, but there will be a stringent and strict law and a regulator to regulate and control the activity. The government clearly favors a middle path between an outright ban as the Reserve Bank demands and a free hand as the crypto exchanges want. The law is expected to be introduced in the forthcoming winter session of the Parliament, and it will be a stringent and heavy one. After all, a huge amount of public money is at stake, and cryptos have been crime infested too. The second point of the picture that we see is that the law that is expected will govern not just crypto trading and investment, but its crime angle too, and that would be done in a very heavy manner. The third is that crypto companies, funds, exchanges, traders and investors will face larger scrutiny and restrictions in India. That is clearly imperative. Further, regulators like Reserve Bank, SEBI, etc., if empowered, will regulate cryptos heavily, both trading and investments, and they will not tolerate cryptos becoming big because of the huge risk that they carry for the investors and for the financial and capital market system at large. Further, not all cryptocurrencies will be allowed to be traded and invested in these exchanges, and there will be strict eligibility norms like we see in the case of listing of companies and visiting the markets with IPOs. Further, the government will insist on disclosures, trail and traceability in order to prevent the misuse of cryptos for money laundering, terror funding, tax evasion and the funding of crimes. Of course, it is very clear that crypto will not get a currency status like countries like El Salvador have done. It is certainly not fit to be a currency. Further, a digital currency will be introduced by the Reserve Bank of India sometime in the first half of the next financial year. Crypto ads that are misleading, not transparent, and promise quick and guaranteed returns will certainly be banned. And finally, to us, violators under the new law will face heavy fines, penalty, and prosecution, of course. Cryptos, as we said, are here to stay, but a lot of caution is needed in dealing with them, permitting their investments, because the item itself is one which has been attracting a lot of gambling kind of trading, speculation, and a lot of volatility in prices, because of which investor money could be lost any moment. And that's where the government and the regulatory bodies should be concerned about. This is Akhilesh Bhargav signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.